Women's basketball writer for the Associated Press, Doug Feinberg. He's been at it for a while. And college basketball on the women's side has never been hotter. You come back from Cleveland. I'm guessing right now you're back in New York City. What is the vibe like for a guy like you who has watched this sport evolve on a public stage?
So I guess the best way to phrase it is I'm proud of what I've known for years that casual fans are starting to see, that it's really good basketball. Whether it's women's, men's, whatever, they play great basketball. It took a generational player in Caitlin Clark, I think, for people to start tuning in, but it's not just her. And I think they found that there's a lot of great talent, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players that are exciting to watch. And that's made me proud as someone who's covered this for the last roughly 20 years to see the casual fan know what I've known for a long time.
There's a genuine appreciation, by the way. When I worked for the Charlotte Bobcats. At the time, they had the Charlotte Sting, and my interaction just doing public relations for the women's side was much different than the men's. There was a genuine appreciation and authenticity. I felt like they really appreciated the attention. They appreciated the coverage, and I think that makes them super likable from a public perspective. How much of the personalities of these women that we're getting to know has contributed to some of the success?
I think that helps. I mean, they are very likable. I think what also helps is that they stay for 4 years, where your best men's player in college, if they even go to college, goes for 1 year and jumps to the NBA. So you don't really get to know them more than like, oh, that guy's really good. You don't get to know their backstories that well. You don't get to know them as people that well. You just get to know them as this guy's really good and going to the NBA. Whereas on the women's side, Caitlin Clark, 4 years. Angel Reese, 4 years. Cram Brink, 4 years. And so I think that helps in the sense like you get to actually know them as people, their personality. You see how great they are, how pleasant, how affable. I mean, just really good things that they bring to the table that I think gets their personalities to shine through, and fans can sort of get to know them as they grow up in whatever college they're at.
So we see, you talked about the generational talent, Caitlin Clark. A couple things on that topic. First of all, why is she leaving Iowa? I mean, because she wants to go to Indiana. I mean, I really don't know. I did a men's game at Iowa, and she was there, and it just seems like it's just a magical thing for her to be there, and the money certainly would be there if she stayed one more year. Why is she leaving?
So I'm curious. You did the men's game. Did the guys in shoot around actually try to shoot from her spot? Because that's become the thing now.
Yes.
Where she hit the three to break the record. Every guy in shoot around on the men's side, and when women's teams come in, try to hit that shot, and most people can't hit it.
No, they can't. And I was lucky enough to do an NIT game, so it was right there on the floor. Yeah.
But to answer your question, so there's a little misconception about the money. So the NIL money she makes in college will translate to the pros as endorsements. So she's not losing money by going pro. She'll probably make even more money because more people want to sponsor her. And she obviously just gets a salary. She gets only $76,000 as the rookie scale. That will go up in a couple of years when there's a new TV deal for them. So she's not losing money by going pro. The lure of, listen, we all went to college. It's probably the best 4 or 5 years of your life when you're in college for a lot of reasons. I think she's done everything she can do. I mean, I don't think she's thought this, but breaking all the records she did in 4 years, if she sticks around for another year, there's just that little bit of asterisk of she scored 3,950 points roughly, I think, something like that. If she stayed for another year, she breaks 5,000. No one's going to remember that she broke all that stuff in 4. It's like, oh, she played 5. Yeah. She got 5,000 points. Of course she did it. And again, I don't think that's in her mindset at all. I think that's more of an outside thing behind it. But what does she have left to do? All her friends are graduating or leaving. The Gabby Martins, the Gabby Marshalls, the Kate Martins, the players that she kind of played with for her career there are all going to be gone. So why not sort of open up the next chapter?
Do you think anything – it seemed watching and rooting for her as you just cheered on the sport, I did feel sort of exhausted for her. I felt like there's a ton of pressure on her, and she's spoken a little bit about that. Did you notice that when you were covering her down the stretch?
So I thought she looked a little tired in the second round when they played West Virginia at home. Her last game ever at Carver Hawkeye. I think there was the pressure of we have to win this game. I can't lose my I can't have my career end at home on a loss. So I think she had pressure there. I'll tell you, I've never seen her give a bad interview. She's so media savvy, says the right things, and it's genuine. And you're right, there is a heavy burden she has lifted this past year, with all the attention on her, all the attention on the sport. She's been completely gracious about it. I think it wears on you a little bit. I don't think she would never make an excuse. I've had to do too much media. I'm just tired. That's why I didn't shoot as well in the finals. She would give total credit to South Carolina's defense, the same way she did to UConn's defense in the Final Four. But you could see she looked a little weary. And then, hey, guess what? She's got a week to get ready for the WNBA draft, and then a couple weeks later, get ready to play in the WNBA. So no rest for the weary, so to speak. And I feel in the ideal world, you'd hope to get a little more time to let her just like enjoy the end of college, but that's not happening.
And I'm here in Central Texas, so Kim Mulkey has made quite the footprint in this area. What's it been like for you to cover her, whether at Baylor, now at LSU? She's a colorful figure, and she is certainly compelling.
She is, and I have a really good relationship with Coach Mulkey. I mean, as a media person, I think you can appreciate she'll give you what's on her mind. There's no coach speak. There's none of that other stuff. She'll say what she's thinking, and that you couldn't ask for more as a media person. She's a polarizing figure. You either like her or you hate her. And there was obviously her comments that she made before the Washington Post story came out. I admit I read the story. I didn't learn much new. I didn't know about
anybody that had been around her and been covering her. There was no surprises in that story. At least to me, there
no. And what was, listen, people didn't like her comments. They thought she sort of raised the bar, so to speak, on the Washington Post story. And then all of a sudden, that LA Times story came out that was not good. I mean, the fact that they actually retracted some stuff, and it tells you how off it was. And it just made her comments actually look accurate, like false media narratives and things like that. Like, if there'd never been that story, the Washington Post is like, oh, maybe that wasn't, like, what are you doing, coach? But then the other one comes out and you're like, she's exactly right there. So she's a Hall of Fame coach. She's won championships. She knows how to win. She knows to get the most out of her players. And as a media person, she's honest with us. So I'm fine with that. The other stuff, that's for people to decide which side of the fence you're on with her. But I've never had a problem with her in an interview, and that to me is what's, I think, important.
How much more you think she has left in the tank to keep going? I mean, she signed that new deal last year, 10-year contract. How much of that you think she's actually going to coach out?
I think she enjoys it. She literally enjoys coaching. I mean, a lot of them, her, Tara Vanderveer, Gino Auriemma, the old guard, so to speak, enjoy what they do. And it's like, what are you going to do if you're not coaching? I mean, she's got a beautiful grandkid. I'm sure she'd love to spend more time with her son and daughter. I'd say she'll finish out that contract, I would assume. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're paying pretty good money to do something you enjoy. There are a lot worse jobs than coaching college basketball.
You mentioned Gino. I'm a Philly guy, so I was pulling for him somewhat on Friday night. Was that a foul? And can you call it there in that moment?
Well, those are two very different points.
All right, first one's first.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a foul.
She definitely moved the arm up, and she slid over, and it's a moving screen, no question. Do you call it that point? I mean, the refs are trained to not know time and score. A foul is a foul, whether it's in the first quarter, second quarter, or 2 seconds left. Personally, as a basketball fan, as a media person, I coached high school girls basketball for a long time. You kind of hope that a player will either make or miss a shot to win a game, and that was taken away from them. But I can't complain about a moving screen that was actually a moving screen, and then they made that call.
How was Gino after the game? How pissed was he?
Well, let's take a step back first. Paige Beckers is such a phenomenal player, and she might be even better off the court as a speaker. She made the comment, listen, there's 100 plays in a game. One play at the end of the game doesn't determine a win or loss, which I thought was a really great comment. And also she had a comment about next year when Caitlin's gone, everyone's like, well, you're going to be the it girl. She's like, no. There's a lot of girls that we should be paying attention to here, not just me, which I thought was really good. And obviously her SP speech a couple years ago when she won for female athlete, she's like, there are a lot of great Black players we should be supporting also here. And she just gets it. As far as Gino, he took the high road, same thing. Like, He's like, there are a lot of fouls they could have called, they didn't, or they did. So one play doesn't determine it. I'll tell you, I think this might have been one of his best coaching jobs ever. For the talent he had sitting on the bench out for the season with injury, to make a Final Four and come within 2 points of getting to the championship game shows how good a coach he is. He did the best job I've seen guarding Caitlin Clark in a game all season, made her work for every shot, which most people haven't been able to do. Just shows how great a coach he is.
Yeah, I felt labored just watching her try to get open. And, I could never get open, and nobody cares if I can or not. All right, last question. How does women's college basketball keep it going? This is an incredible heater. How do we take this and move it into, next year and beyond?
So I think it will. I think there's enough talent returning across the country. The Juju Watkins, Hannah Hidalgo, Paige Beckers, Madison Booker, that are really talented and spread out throughout the country, not just one team. Oh, by the way, South Carolina returns most of their players who are really, really good as well. Are we going to see 18.7 million fans tune in for the championship game? Maybe not. But if you get consistent numbers in the numbers we haven't seen before, in the 10 million, the 12 million, the 8 million, that's still a really good year and a really good thing for college basketball. The next set of stars will develop. The talent's getting better every year. So I think it's about expectations. If you think you're going to get more than you had this year, you're probably going to be disappointed. If you can get consistency, and people, I think, are going to keep on wanting to watch, knowing some of these other names now, I think that's great for the sport.
And you brought up something that reminds us probably of growing up. The players sticking around for 4 years. I mean, once you get to know them, you can't deny that there's something really familial about the sport, and that keeps us coming back for sure.
If I make one other point, I mean, one of my friends, like China Robinson, who's a longtime announcer, said to me the other day, what's great about women's basketball, and I say it's a knock on the men, but they could change it, is there's the quarters. So every game you have potentially 4 buzzer beaters that are exciting. The end of the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. You could have a half-court shot. You could have a play. You advance the ball in the fourth quarter, so set up a play in the last second that could be really exciting. The men's only have 2 halves, not as much opportunity for that. I think that brings fans in. They see that it's exciting to watch. Everyone loves buzzer beaters. Everyone loves exciting plays, and you have more chances in the women's game. I think that also helps it get people, once they've seen it once, want to stick around.
Doug Feinberg, AP writer, women's college basketball. Thank you so much for taking the time, dude.
My pleasure, man.
All right, brother. Get some rest.
Thank you.
See you.
We are Rogue Media Sports.